Good morning, class. Okay, so before we start the discussion for today, let us ask first the guidance of the Lord. May I ask someone to please lead the prayer? Okay. Everyone, please stand, be silent, and feel the presence of the Lord. Amen. Thank you so much. Have a seat, guys. Okay, so please pick up some clutter if there is any. Thank you. Okay, so may I ask Miss Secretary, have you already checked the attendance? Is there anyone absent? No one. That's good. Okay, so are you ready to learn now, class? Or to learn something new, rather? Okay, so keep quiet, please. Okay, so I am your English teacher for today. I am Miss Reina Navida, but you can call me Ma'am Reina. So, our discussion is all about the changing lives. Do you have a book of English, American, and Philippine literature, class? Okay, if you have, please bring it out and turn your book on page 34. So on page 34, you will see there that there is a story entitled The Last Leaf. Am I right, class? Yes, so before we go to the story The Last Leaf, let us know the objectives of this lesson first. Okay? So, at the end of this lesson, the students should be able to determine the meaning of unfamiliar words through context clues, and complete sentences using vocabulary words. Okay? Okay, so before um, before we read the story, let's think about this first. Think about the time in your life when you made a sacrifice for the sake of someone you love. Okay, since um, you are in grade 9 now, I know you encounter or you experience sacrifices or sacrificing. Am I right, Les? Of course, because you're a teenager now. So, can anyone share his or her own experience? Can anyone share it to the class? Yes? Alright, thank you so much for that. Okay, so, sacrificing as many things that can help to one another, okay? So, let's move on. So, this picture is also about the sacrifice. So, as you can see, sacrifices made by parents. Because we all know that parents has a lot of sacrifice for their children. Am I right, class? Of course. Because what? We've experienced that on our own. Our parents had done a lot of sacrifices for us, their children. Okay? So, you better love your parents. Okay? Give the love that they deserve. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so in the story of the last leaf that we are going to talk today, this is the author of that story. William Sidney Porter, better known by his pen name O. Henry. So, he was the author of the story The Last Leaf. Okay? He was an American short story writer. Porter was born in Greensboro, North Carolina. He moved to Texas in 1882 when he met his wife, Ethel Estes, with whom he had 2 children. Okay, so we're not going to focus on the author of the story, but we are going to focus on the story itself, okay? So let's move on now. Okay, so one of O. Henry's work is The Last Leaf. The last leaf that we are going to talk about. Okay. Before we go to the summary, let's read first the story. Can I ask 4 students to please stand and read it to the class? Okay, thank you so much. You may now sit, guys. So, we hear the story of the last leaf. Do you think in the story there is a sacrificing happened? Do you think there is, class? Anyone? Yes. Yes, there is. In what part, class? In what part? Yes? Very good. When Mr. Berman draw a ivy leaf and paste it to the tree outside Johns's window. Correct. Okay, so let's move on now. So, in the summary of the story, a woman gets very sick and loses her will to live. She expects to die when the last leaf in a vane outside her room falls. An old friend makes a great sacrifice to make sure the last leaf will stay. So, this is what we are talking about. When an old friend here, it was Mr. Berman. Okay? And the one who gets very sick is Johnsy. So when Mr. Berman knows about Johnson's condition, he sacrificed his own his own life for Johnsy. He drew an ivy leaf and pasted to the tree outside Johnson's window so that Johnsy will have to will to live, okay? But what happened to Mr. Berman? At the end of the story, what happened to Mr. Berman? Yes, she got seriously ill. The same, what do you call this? The same with Johnsy, Mr. Berman got pneumonia. So that is what we call he sacrifices life for Johnsy. Even though he knows that he will have a pneumonia, he did it. Okay? He still did it for Johnsy to live. Okay, moving on. The setting of the story in Greenwich Village of New York City. Okay, so additional information, guys. Class, rather. Greenwich Village is one of the quaint and picturesque locations on New York City. It means that in Greenwich Village, it is so beautiful here. Okay? Okay. So let's move on to the characters. Our main character is Johnsy, a young artist from California. He was the one who falls seriously ill with pneumonia. Excuse me. And becomes convinced that she will die when the last leaf falls from the vane outside her window. Okay, so do you understand the story now, class? Do you understand who is Johnsy now? Yes, because Johnsy is the only one who got seriously ill in the first place. But at the end of the story, Johnsy got better. But Mr. Berman, the old man who did a great sacrifice, had fallen seriously ill with pneumonia. Okay? Next, Sue. Who is Sue, by the way? Who is Sue? Yes? Yes, that's right. Sue is Johnson's friend. Okay, so from this, a young artist from Maine, she is very close to Johnsy, cooking for her, caring for her, and financially supporting her in her illness. So, at the beginning of Johnson's illness, Sue is always there for her. Okay? Next, Mr. Berman. He was an old man and a painter who lived on the first floor beneath them. Berman was a failure in art. He had always wanted to paint a masterpiece, but he had never yet begun it. Okay, so why? Why Mr. Berman never begun his masterpiece? Why? Because he has no inspiration. Okay? He is sad so that he can't get any inspiration to draw his masterpiece. Get it, class? Okay, moving on. The last is the doctor, a busy older man with the shaggy gray eyebrows who attends to Jancy in Berman. He diagnoses Jancy with mental as well as physical illness, telling Sue that he cannot help a patient with medicine when she doesn't want to get better. Okay, so the doctor is the one who diagnoses Jancy and Mr. Berman. So, what is the doctor? So in here, the doctor tells Sue that he cannot help a patient with medicine when she doesn't want to get better. Why, class? Of course, if the doctor want to of course he is a doctor, so he want to help his patient to get better. But if the patient is not willing, or is not willing to get better, or he is not don't want to get better, of course the doctor can't help his or her. Okay? Why? Because at the end of the day, the doctor and the patient must work together, right? Okay, for example, I, the doctor, and you are the patient. You are my patient. So I cannot help you if you cannot help me. Okay? Okay, so that is what Mr. or the doctor want to convey to Sue. That he cannot help Jancy if Jancy don't want to get better itself. Okay? Himself, rather. So, it is better if Jancy will get an motivation or inspiration to get better, then the doctor can help her immediately with her illness to be cured. Okay? Okay, next. Let's go now to the actions of the story. So, the actions of their story, we have here the rising action. The rising action of the last leaf is when the first branch falls off from the tree. That's also when Jancy thinks she's closer to die, okay? So, that is the rising action. As you read to the story, at the beginning that the leaf falls down, Jancy start to count, okay? So, actually, she knows how leaves had fallen down, okay? Had fall, rather. Okay, so our falling action. The falling action is that the leaf stays there and Jancy gets better. So, this is what the falling action. Because of Mr. Berman, Jancy gets better, but Mr. Bearman got seriously ill. Okay? Okay, so okay, so class, did you understand our lesson? Okay, so how can we um, connect the story to changing lives? Everyone, anyone. How can we connect it together? Yes. That's right. Because when Mr. Bearman did the did it, when Mr. Bearman draw the ivy leaf and pasted to the tree outside Jance's window, what happened? Jance's life changed. Okay? But also, Mr. Bearman's life changed. Okay, so, class, how can you say about the story? How can you describe the story, rather? Anyone? Yes. Yes, it was a sad and a happy ending. Okay, so do you have any question, class? Do you have? Okay, if none, are you ready to take your individual activity now? Okay, I hope you're all ready. So, let's start. Okay, so I will read the direction first. Okay, so arrange the following events as they happened in the story. Write 1 for the first event, 2 for the second, and 3 for the third, and so on. Did you get the direction, class? Okay, so for example, if the number 1 is, for example, 3, the third part of the story, you may write 3 on the space provided. And the questions regarding on the activity, class? If none, you may now start. Oh, by the way, class, if everyone had done on this slide, let me know so that I can next. Okay? Okay. Are you done to the question 1 and 2, class? Okay, take your time. Next. Okay. Read it carefully, class. You analyze the questions, okay? Is everyone done in this slide? Okay, next. Work quietly, class. That is an individual activity, not a group activity, okay? Work quietly. Is everyone done? Which part? Okay. Let's just wait for others. Are you done, class? Okay, so I will be giving you a chance for those who did not read the questions clearly. Okay, next. Okay, next, class. Are you all done, class? Did you answer all the questions? Or did you have missed numbers or questions, class? No one. Okay, so let's answer now. Let's read it first. So, number 1, Jancy gave up the will to live. Number 2, Sue told Berman about Jancy's death wish. Number 3, Jancy told Sue that she would die when the last leaf fell. Next, Berman painted a leaf on the wall. Next, the leaf kept clinging on the vane despite the strong wind and heavy snow. Number 6, Jancy watched the leaves of an ivy vane fall one by one. 7, Berman died. Jancy decided to fight for her life. 9, in autumn, pneumonia stalked the district and Jancy was on of its victims. Next, Sue and Jancy decided to put up a studio. So, for that 10 questions, class, which is the first thing happened in the story? It was number? Yes, that's right, number 10. Please be honest on checking the papers of your seatmate, okay? Okay, so number 10 is the number 1. Next, what is the second scenario? Number 9, that's right. What is the third scenario, class? The number 1. Jancy gave up the will to live. Next, what is the fourth scenario? The fourth scenario is the number 6. Okay. Next, what is the next the fifth scenario, class? What? Yeah, it was number 3. Okay, what is the sixth scenario, class? Yes? Okay, that's right. It was number 2. What is the 7th? Anyone? Yes. It was the fourth, number 4. What is the 8th scenario? Excuse me. Yes? Yes, it is 5. Number 5. The 9th scenario, class, anyone? The 9th scenario is number? Yes, number 8. That's correct. And the last scenario? Of course, it was in number 7. Okay, so, Mr. President, please collect all the papers. Thank you. Okay, so, do you have any questions, class? Any question? Okay, before we end the discussion, I have a question. So, in the story, The Last Leaf, who is the author? Again, who is the author of the story, The Last Leaf? Yes. Yes, it was O. Henry. But I want his real name, not his pen name. What is O. Henry's real name? Yes, what is it? Yes, that's correct. Very good. William Sidney Porter is the real name of O. Henry, okay? Okay, last question, class. What is the masterpiece Berman draw? What is the masterpiece of Berman? Anyone? Yes. Are you sure it was an ivy leaf? Very sure? Okay, that's right. The ivy leaf is the Berman's masterpiece. Okay? And a question, class. If you don't have any question, thank you for attentively listening. Okay? I hope you learned something new today, class. Did you learn something new, class? Of course. Okay, so before everyone leave the classroom, please pick up some clutter. Again, if there is any. Okay? Then thank you so much for listening, class, and see you again. Bye. Goodbye, class. Have a nice day. Thank you so much.